Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the third and final part of this week's Copenhagen Dreaming. We are going to join the people who went to talk to the lady next. So basically, you two intrepid heroines, you managed to get to the Fall of Man, and the place is in fact open at this time. It's you know, it's a nightclub. It's only 3 PM, but it's open, so you can in fact enter. And despite your youthful age and appearance, nobody stops you at the door.
Because it's that kind of place.
Or they've been told not to.
Okay. Well, this is convenient.
Yeah. Where do you think we should go?
Further in until we find someone, or someone finds us.
True.
We could try a perception check to see if there's anyone stands out.
Well, as you enter, you are in fact met by this fellow, Samuel Elsnes. Comes up to you.
Sweet Jesus.
Comes up to you, and he looks at both of you with the kind of facial expression that tells you that he would really like to do some very, very unsavory things with both of you. But he manages to keep it to the facial expression for now, as he basically gestures for you to follow him in.
I mean,
Gesundheit.
Dankeschön.
I was about to say, I would be inclined to, follow without question a man who looks like he's suffering from cordyceps. Yeah, alright, well, we're here now, we might as well.
So you do follow him in?
Yes. I mean, we've come this far, and I think we're going into something more scary.
Yeah, that's definitely the case.
So sort of keeping that in mind.
Well, the next person that you're met by is her.
Oh, good.
Oh,
She,
we've met her before, haven't we?
Yes. She was one of the people driving the van.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good. I'm
Yeah.
sure she's happy to see us.
Ecstatic from the looks of things. She basically shoves the satyr out of the way and instead, gets in front of both of you, tilts her head slightly to the side and goes, "Oh, if you weren't here by invitation. But you are, so come with me."
Yeah, I think Agnes swallows a little bit and try to keep her brave face straight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She looks at you at one point while she's walking. She looks at Agnes and goes, "And don't you think that pet lizard of yours is going to keep me away forever?"
Well, he's not my pet.
She growls. But just as she's about to answer, there's a woman's voice saying, "Maria, that's quite enough. You are excused." And the red cap just turns around and leaves.
I feel like they're playing pass the parcel with us.
They are, kind of. But when you look to see who was speaking, you realize that you are now alone in what looks to be a VIP room, basically, with a woman sitting on a couch. She is quite elegantly dressed. Black dress, high heels, silk stockings. Her hair is immaculate. Her makeup is amazing. And she is smoking a cigarette in a cigarette holder. She's that kind of decadent.
Oh,
And she looks at both of you and gestures for you to have a seat.
Agnes looks at Jasmine before she does anything, and then sort of looks at the seat.
So I didn't quite catch all of that.
Agnes sort of just slightly looks at Jasmine and looks at the seat as in, should we?
Yes, I think Jasmine side looks at her, nods very, very subtly. Inclines her head respectfully towards the seated woman and then takes a seat.
And Agnes copies to make sure that she doesn't offend anyone.
The woman nods politely and waits until you are both seated, and then she smiles slightly crookedly and asks, "Are you thirsty or hungry by any chance?"
Thank you for asking. I personally am okay.
Yeah, no thanks, but thank you.
No problem. If you change your minds, just let me know.
Thank you.
Well, here we are then. I don't think I need to introduce myself, so I'm not going to. And I already know who you two are. I also know that you've been giving my associates here in this place quite a lot of trouble lately. I can tell you they're anything but pleased with the situation, but frankly, that is none of my concern. So, I suppose I should start by telling you that you are in no immediate danger from me. Neither of you are she. I have no outstanding quarrel with either of you. So you're quite safe. You're here under my protection. Nobody here will dare to touch a hair on your head.
That is good, thank you.
Yeah, Agnes quickly changes her need to defend them, and then changes this to a small dot. Thank you.
Yes. She smiles again and takes a puff of her cigarette and says, "So I know what you have been up to. I know you have been looking for information. I think it's only fair if I offer to fill out some of the holes in the information that I'm sure you have dug up so far."
That is very kind of you.
Oh,
Yes.
I am all kindness when the mood takes me. And in this case, I think it is in everyone's best interest, certainly in yours, that you know the full truth. Do you have any questions?
Well, kind of, what's your side of the story?
That is a good question. Probably the best you could ask. my side of the story is probably a lot simpler than you think. I have existed in Denmark since, well, I stopped counting a long time ago, let's put it that way. But I do remember when men lived in caves and hunted mammoths. So that is roughly my age. I have slept much of that time. A great deal of that time. But dragons keep growing their entire lives, and you have seen me when I'm not conveniently this size. So
Yes.
that should explain to you just how old I really am. And in all that time, I have mostly minded my own business. I have occasionally put a brood into being, but as I'm also sure you can guess, my kind are not pregnant for 9 months. My eggs take centuries to hatch. So I haven't had that many broods after all. Just a few. This is important, and I'll tell you why in a moment. The reason why this whole mess is going on at the moment is that during the war, when the Shi decided to return, and bear in mind, I remember when they were here the first time, and I remember before they were really Shi. I remember a time when the Kithane were nothing like they are now. So, yeah. This war was really none of my business. I felt it was idiotic, to put it in very plain language. It seemed a futile waste of life, but again, why should I bother and get involved? I wasn't threatened. I would have been if I had involved myself, regardless of what side I had chosen to take. And at the time I had eggs to protect. Eggs that were about 100 years old. About halfway through their gestation. So I had no real interest in getting involved in the fighting. Until I was called for by a very powerful Shi. You know him as Duke Malachias Hardenberg. He was a very powerful man even back then. And he was winning the war. Primarily because of his good friend, Ivar Kos, who was busy killing everyone and everything. Kos was a threat to me as well, or could have been if he had decided to turn his attention towards me. The dragon he rode was nowhere near as large as me, but he was ferocious. So, when the Duke told me to stop Ivar and Kindle, I was willing to do so out of a sense of self-preservation. I was willing to do so to protect my eggs. We are territorial, those like me. If Kindle had continued to accumulate power, he would eventually have wanted to throw me out. I had no interest in that happening. I'm sure you can see why. I don't like getting thrown out of my home any more than anyone else does. So, I decided to help this Shi. And I asked what he would give me, and he said he would give me whatever I wanted. Those were his words. I could have what I wanted. What I wanted was the peninsula of Jutland. That's where I come from. That's where I could go back. That's where I could have my own area. I could run it in peace. If any Shi or any other Fae for that matter decided to come visit, I could tell them to get out because it was mine. I could protect my eggs, and I could stay out of all of your ways and just be myself. So that's what I told him I wanted. And then I went and I found Ivar and I found Kindle. And I waited until Kindle was alone, because it did happen from time to time. And then I fought him and I killed him. It was very, very, very difficult to do so, let me assure you. It was the hardest fight I have ever been in. But I did win. And Kindle did die. And then I went back for my reward. And you know what he told me?
No.
He said he couldn't give me something that wasn't his to give, because he hadn't secured Denmark yet. So I had to wait until he had finished the war, and then he would give me Jutland. So I waited, fool that I was. I waited and I let him finish the war, which he won. He threw out the old rulers from Sweden, sent them packing back to Stockholm, and he consolidated his power. And I told him, now I want Jutland. You promised me. We had a deal. And he said, I don't think you quite understand what it is you're asking for. And I told him I understand perfectly well what it is I'm asking for. I've had thousands of years to ponder why I want that piece of land. I didn't think it was an unreasonable demand, especially since he had offered it. So he said he would prepare by getting the Fae who lived in Jutland out. And after 14 days, when they were all out of the area, the place would be mine. So I counted down the days, lying here in Copenhagen and waiting. And when I came home 14 days later, guess what I found?
Not an empty Jutland.
A clutch of broken eggs. And he never surrendered Jutland to me anyway. That's the kind of man you're dealing with. I do not think that I have acted without cause or reason. And I want him dead. He killed my children.
Well, first off, I can definitely see why you are crossed.
It's a bit of an understatement, I think.
Yeah. But you can't really say pissed off to a lady, can you?
I appreciate the good manners.
Well, no. I just thought I interrupted you.
No, please, you first.
No, it wasn't anything, but just a sound.
In any
Forgive me
case... Oh, please. Please.
Forgive me for asking a touchy question,
Ask away.
but did you ever find evidence that it was specifically Duke or his subordinates that did the deed?
Such evidence is very difficult to come by. I'm sure you can understand that.
Of course.
But those eggs had been safe for 100 years. Nobody knew where they were, and nobody had any reason to look for them except for Duke Hardenberg and his, as you said, associates. It could have been Ivar who did it. It could have been his action. I don't know if it was him who specifically destroyed my eggs, or if it was the Duke himself. I don't think it was the Duke who did the deed personally, because I'm pretty sure he was in Copenhagen the entire time. But even if he didn't, he is responsible. As the ruler of a city or a nation or any stretch of land, ultimately responsibility devolves to you. That is the burden of leadership, and the Duke knows this perfectly well. If his men did the deed, then he is responsible for their actions.
Yes.
All I want is that man in an open field. He can armor himself as much as he wants. He can prepare himself for a whole year if he wants. I don't care. I want him alone in an open field where I can kill him.
Then what?
And then I will go home. I will find a new mate eventually. I will lay new eggs. And hopefully these ones will be allowed to survive. I have no outstanding quarrel with you, or even with the she in your little motley. None of them have done anything to me personally. I am not the Shadow Court. They hate all she equally. I only hate two, and one of them is already dead.
So,
I see what you're suggesting.
if I understand this correctly, if you get the Duke and get to reclaim Jutland, then you just go home and...
I don't even want to reclaim Jutland by now. That doesn't matter anymore. His promise is broken. That's the whole point. I just want him.
Yes, I see what you're suggesting. That somehow we convince the Duke to do this, to submit to single fight against you, and you will kill him, and then you will leave, and you will deny the Shadow Court any further aid.
Correct.
And just to be clear once more, by coming here, have we then agreed to be able to convince him, or are you just asking us?
I am asking you. I cannot force you to do such a thing, or rather I could, but it's not in my interest to do so. You are here because you had enough faith in my goodwill to turn up, even despite your little listening device.
Yes, I did suspect you would know, but you understand we would be cautious.
I don't blame you. I'm dangerous.
Yes, that's... self-awareness is such a wonderful thing.
I want you to ask yourselves something simple. Apart from a few unfortunate situations, how many have I actually killed since I came back? You don't need to answer that. I can answer it for you. I haven't gone after a single Kithane in Copenhagen. A couple of mortals have been killed in accidents that involved me, and for that I am actually quite sorry. They did not deserve it, and I have no quarrel with them either. I haven't killed any Kithane in Copenhagen. And yet, I am feared and hated. It's probably not entirely without good cause and reason. I have killed many in the past. But right now, I only want to kill one. I want you to understand something. If he does not come out to fight me, and I will give him, as I said, a whole year to prepare. But if he fails to meet me in an open field, one-on-one, no later than 1 year from today, I will start killing. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Now, are you sure you're neither hungry nor thirsty?
Even if we were, I'm not sure we fully trust the food and drink yet.
I don't blame you. Although I can recommend the drinks. They're quite good in this place, despite its reputation.
I must confess, I've never been in here. It is certainly different.
Very. Imagine how it feels like in the evening when the music is pumping out at ear-shattering noise levels.
Well,
there are some primitive instincts at play in this place.
Yes. I do have a few questions.
Please,
if you're
ask.
willing to indulge.
Of course.
As you say, you've not targeted any Kithane in Copenhagen yet. What was your involvement with the business about Julian Lowendahl and his
That
his
wasn't
motley?
actually me. I met with a couple of them because I knew that Julian was the descendant of Ivar Kos, and I wanted information. But I was not the one who bent their minds.
Then who did?
Yeah. Do you know who did? Can you actually tell us?
The Baron did. Personally.
That is quite something. And
to all of them. And I can also tell you that he made absolutely sure that their memories are of me and not of him. I don't mind. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind him doing so. He is an ally, and I allowed him to use me in that way, because that would put greater fear into you. But I haven't personally killed anyone. I have made very certain of that. Because the moment I took a life, I would be in the wrong. I have tried everything to get the Duke to listen to me. I have tried everything to get him to come out and fight, and instead he has been a coward. I realize that he's not a young man anymore, but quite frankly, when it comes to age, he cannot really claim anything in comparison to me.
So, if we have come across evidence that's not exact memory from those people, but still suggests your involvement, That's also the work of the Baron.
That's also the work of the Baron. He wants this war very, very, very badly. And I can tell you right now that the moment I kill Duke Hardenberg, and I will, one way or another, the Baron is going to launch everything he has at the rest of you. And he has a lot more than you think. He has Sweden behind him.
The Sweden Shadow Court.
No, he has all of Sweden behind him. Basically, what he has done is he has promised to hand back Denmark to the court in Sweden.
Bastard!
He will be the overlord, he will be the overseer of this area, but he will cleanse it of any she, and he will restructure it as a troll overlordship, the same way as it is in Sweden at the moment. The second Duke Hardenberg dies, that attack begins. I have no greater loyalty to him than I can tell you this right now. At least that should give you some time to prepare. Consider it a token of good faith from me that you will actually try to convince the Duke to come out and fight me.
Say we might have a year.
Yes. Also remember that the longer it takes for you, you might think, oh, then let's wait a year, because then we can prepare. But then you're also giving the Baron and his allies another year to prepare. I'm just saying. Do we have an understanding?
Yeah.
We do.
That is pleasing. I'm very happy that we do. Then I suppose I shan't detain you any longer unless you have any more questions.
Actually,
Yes?
as we are sort of investigating everything and gathering information and such,
Of course.
could we, with your blessing, actually investigate the area of your nest, I presume, where your eggs were killed?
Yes. It's empty now anyway. Except for that. So yes, of course you can.
Thank you.
She writes down a location on a piece of basically on the back of one of the those little things you put beers on.
Coaster.
Yeah, coaster. Thank you. She writes down an address on the back of that, and she says, "Go into the basement there. You will find a trod. It will take you straight to my nest, or what used to be my nest."
Thank you.
Not a problem.
There was a matter that that we fought Crimson and Bloody Alice, and Bloody Alice surrendered to us. We
Yes.
took her to court.
Yes.
She claimed that either you or Baron Steele, or whoever it was, had successfully managed to place Aegeus on the Duke himself. Would you know anything about it?
I would know that, and that is a lie. That is probably her trying to save her life by placing doubts in all of your minds.
Excellent.
I don't
No, that-
particularly like Alice. She's a vicious and violent creature.
About to say, I couldn't possibly, as I say, I can easily see why. But yes, either way, It's good to know. Again, if you had put him under Aegeus, then you could have compelled him to come out and meet you anyway.
Exactly. And I would have. No, I haven't managed to do so. I can understand, and I'm sure you can as well, why she will try anything to stay alive. It's hardly surprising. Self-preservation is a thing, even for a redcap.
Interesting that she was able to make that claim under the compilation of Sovereign.
Alice is exceptionally strong-willed.
Yes. Could see that when I spoke to her. All right, I think...
I'm not going to tell you that you should execute her or not. I am going to tell you that she's not a bad friend to have. Make of that what you will. Anyway, I think we're done.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having her.
Thank you, ma'am.
And to you for listening. She leans back and lights another cigarette, puts it in the holder, and seems to be done with the conversation.
Jasmine again inclines her head respectfully and excuses herself.
Yes.
And Agnes copies.
Yeah, so you
As
basically
all
get out of
in
there.
As quickly as politely possible.
Yes, brisk walking pace is your best defense right now.
Yep,
Exactly.
yep. Okay, you get out, and nobody stops you, nobody bothers you, you're free to go.
To paraphrase an old movie, run, Forrest, run!
Yes!
Pretty much. I think we're just gonna go straight to Landwall, where Sunny and Charlie are
Yep.
Hold on,
camping out.
I'm going to type this one out. Just for our storyteller's benefit.
Okay. Yes! Yes! Leggett! Exactly! And on today of all days, that is very fitting.
Yes.
So, yeah.
No time to skip clickbait. Come on, go on, go on.
That was a little Red Dwarf reference.
Yep.
So, so you get back to Langebro, where you meet the two waiting guys.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You okay? Jasmine, deep breaths. And out again before you faint. One more time.
Okay, so
Okay, yes, I'm better now.
You sure? You still have the same color as Charlie.
Yes.
Sunny
It's a
checks
fine color.
Sunny goes to check on Agnes. Like, she is breathing right?
Yeah. She's just a little... I think it haven't actually hit her properly that we just had a conversation with the dragon.
Well, she didn't look like one, so it's easy to miss.
Exactly, and she was actually quite...
Pleasant.
Yeah. Almost welcoming.
Oh well. This complicates things.
Yes,
Yeah,
but
it does.
we have to tell. Well, technically.
Oh shit.
Well, yes. Technically, we could tell the Duchess first. She has.
She is the one in power, so it should
Oh.
probably go to her.
Oh,
Yeah.
maybe that's why he did it. Oh, goodness me.
What are you thinking?
It might be too much to expect, but maybe he suspected something like this was going to be coming, and so he decided to hand over power before it came to what he had to do.
You can say a lot about the Duke, but he ain't dumb. He's been on the throne for quite a while.
Or, forgive me for saying this, it's not saying very much of our... Yeah, the Duke. Do we know if he's still in town? Or did he just hand over the ring and ran?
We don't know before we actually find out.
We need to meet up with the others, share everything we've learned, and we
Yeah.
need to tell someone in charge about what's coming.
That would be the Duchess. She has the ring, and the others are at the Winter Court anyway.
So what about we just head there as quickly as possible and text them on the way that we're
Yep.
heading there?
Already on it. Sunny's already texting the others.
Yep.
So
They're
basically,
alive.
you guys are heading there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
this needs an adult.
Yes.
Yes.
You
Hey,
guys,
you adult! You need to be adulting now.
you guys out at the Winter Court, you receive a text message saying that they're on their way.
It just says, "Hi, girl's still alive. We have something to tell you. Stay right where you are. This is very important."
And it doesn't take long before you are all gathered up in one place.
Yay!
Yes, sorry for the wait, guys.
That's okay. And I take it that is there anything that you guys leave out of the story
What do you mean?
when you tell us about it? What happened?
Why would we?
I don't know. Maybe you didn't want to tell that you were kind of chummy with the oldest fart dragon in Denmark or something. I don't know. But nonetheless, I just needed to know if we got the whole story.
Yes, and also Sonny and Charlie will be able to sort of stand by it because
Yeah.
they were aware of our scheme, but they didn't say anything.
Well,
The lady just said that she actually understood.
That's nice.
And I can confirm they were, as you say, chummy.
yeah, I even have it on tape. I thought to, record the whole thing. You can do that on the phone. He smirks.
Modern technology.
Well, it was actually by accident that I saw the record button.
Wonders of convenient memory. So,
Should we get the story now, or should we get a hold of the Duchess and then, do it all at once?
Is she in?
I'm guessing if we're still standing around, then she hasn't been in yet.
Nope, but she arrives just as you ask that, actually, or a few moments after. And she
Mhm.
arrives
Okay.
back there, and she is, in fact, with both the Count and the Baron as well. They're both
What kind
there.
of mood does she seem to be in?
She seems to be in a good mood.
Oh,
look at the mood.
Oh.
darn it! She's
Gonna ruin
finally
that.
happy! We're gonna ruin it! I think she sees that look on their faces like, oh, she seems like in a good mood, and oh no, we're gonna sour it.
Oh boy.
No, we're gonna give her a perfect good explanation as to why she's gonna keep power forever.
That's one way of looking at it. Yes, thank you for that input.
She
Of
is
course,
she.
provided that everyone survives the war, so there's something to rule over.
Oh boy.
Well, I guess that answers the question whether we should tell her now or later.
Now, she needs
Now.
as much time to think it over as possible.
Agnes sort of looks to Jonas as him being the courtly one, waiting for him to sort of approach because she doesn't want to.
I don't blame her.
So, does Jonas do anything, or does Sonny have to?
Jonas cautiously approaches her. It's not like he's scared of her, but
No.
if she's going to dismiss him immediately.
No,
then
she
he'll
doesn't.
ready
She
to
looks
do that.
at Jonas as he approaches and smiles and says, "Hello, what can I help you with? You look like you have something on your mind."
Many things, and most of them something that urgently needs sharing with yourself, Your Grace.
Very well. Shall we? Can we do it here, or should it be in my office, or?
Should probably be your office.
Yeah, that would probably be preferable.
Then let's go there. Would it be acceptable for these two to listen in?
Agnes just looks at Jasmine.
That might not be a bad idea.
Sonny waves Therese over because they also have to tell them about her.
Mm-hmm.
Therese comes over as well, and the Duchess looks at her and is like, "Oh my goodness, someone new. Pleased to meet you. What is your name? I'm the Duchess of the Windsor Court here, Valentina Rosenspa. What is your name?" And Therese just looks like she swallowed something unsavory sideways because, oh God, what do I do now?
Jonas nods to her reassuringly.
And she's like, "Hello, my name is Therese, course." And the Duchess's face just changes instantly.
Did it
That's
just...
thing number one.
And then we have something that's worse, actually.
Oh, I'm bad, am I? Therese says.
No,
No, just
but, you know,
Well, let's go to my office. The
Sorry
Duchess says, and both the Baron and the Count come along.
I'm sorry to ruin your day. You look like you were in a good mood.
I was.
Sorry.
Let me guess, I'm not going to remain in a good mood when I've heard this, am I?
Just don't shout too loudly.
All right, let's hear it.
Oh boy, where to begin?
well, Agnes steps forward just to get it over with.
Yes.
First of all, Jasmine and I have just been in a meeting with the lady. She invited us.
Okay. And you're in one piece. I'm very, very pleasantly surprised that you're still in one piece.
In One Piece, as far as we're aware, we are not under any influences. We recorded everything just to be safe. But yes, she invited us to Ama, where she guaranteed us a protection from Shadow Court there, and she spoke to us at length about her side of events during the war.
Very well.
Also, her side of the events now, and her expectations and alignments.
She basically gave us a message to pass on
All right. What is this message?
that the Duke Hardenberg needs to, but that she expects him to, over the course of the next year, present himself to her in single fight in a large open space where they will fight, and she will most likely kill him. Or, at the end of that year, she will start actually killing Kithane throughout Copenhagen indiscriminately until he concedes.
That is an awful message. I'm glad that you're safe. That you've been given such a task is horrible.
Yeah, and there's more.
Oh?
She also told us that the Baron Steele, at the moment of the Duke's death, which she anticipates, he will invade Denmark.
But
With-
he's already in Denmark.
As in with all of Sweden.
He'll relaunch the war with all his forces, and his forces, as far as the lady has told us, include the entirety of Sweden's courts, whom he has promised a return of some degree of control over Denmark for.
Oh,
Not just the Shadow
the
Court, all
treasonous
the courts.
speck of tuberculotic sputum. I am going to string him up by his gonads and let people roast him slowly. And when I'm done with that, I'm going to go after Baron Steele.
Oh, that was the Duke, the first one.
Yeah.
If I lay my hands on him, he's going to wish that he faced the dragon first. How
Just a question.
dare he place everyone in this city in that kind of danger?
Just a question out of character.
Yes?
Isn't the Duke in the office?
No.
No, that was the Baron and
yeah.
the
Count
the Count.
Jacob van der Lue and Baron Alexander. Those are
Yeah.
the ones that are there. Yes.
Yeah, the Duke's still over at
Yes. But I think that with that outburst from her, we're going to let that be a cliffhanger until next time.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to give all of you 4 XP for tonight because you guys accomplished some things.
Hey, on the upside, she didn't yell that loudly.
That's true.
No,
Heavy.
She's even more scary now.
Yes, did it just get colder in here?
Yes, noticeably.
Yes! It's actually nice with the fucking heat outside.
So,
Cheers.
yeah. Anyway, that is it, ladies and gentlemen, for this week's Copenhagen Dreaming, and we hope that you will be back for more next week. And from us here at CharismaToAC, bye.
Bye.
Bye!